Hello everyone, and welcome to the 5th episode of the Road to GT Academy 2013. As you can see, this is on the psychology in racing, and it's going to be psychology in general. This is more of my opinion as well, to actual specific facts that you could use, unlike the braking techniques and things like that. But these are things that I use and know, and hopefully this might actually maybe help you as well to improve as a driver. So what I'll do first is I'll play a little clip of somebody called Decker, who I race with. It's just something he says while we race. If you just have a listen and see what he says, and I'll repeat afterwards. So I don't know if you heard that or not, because obviously the game sound is quite loud because this was taken live. He says, well, Tidgney's on my tail. Now this brings me on to my first sort of point on psychology, which is to do with presence on a track. What I'll do first is I'll just play it so that you can watch a race as well at the same time. It's the same race, but I've started from the back of the grid. So yeah, back to what Decker said. Presence on the track. Essentially, certain people being on the track can actually have an effect on your driving standards. Now, I'll pick out Ghost again, as you all know. Me and Ghost have said this to each other. When either of us are on track together, we seem to just produce that little bit extra. It's like an extra 5 or 10%, and it's because we push each other to the limits, and because we know sort of that we're just like we're fighting for hundredths of a second, as you saw in the last video. We sort of know that we have to push that extra like mile to win a race, essentially, and be the quickest. Now, if we were racing and Ghost wasn't there, and I felt I was the quickest driver there, I wouldn't generally risk as much as when Ghost was there. And that's just a simple explanation of sort of how like Ghost being on track, like Ghost as a presence on a track, affects me as a driver. And you should use this yourselves. Now I mentioned in the last one with who you should race with, you should find people of a similar level. It's the exact same principle there. So, you know, if you're a lower skilled driver and you're looking to improve, if you find somebody on a similar level, so I don't know, somebody's a second slower than the fastest guys in the world or something like that, and you find that person, you start racing with them and you start fighting for temps, rather than looking at the fastest people in the world and going, I am a second off the pace, how the heck am I going to get a second? You're suddenly fighting for temps again, but you're fighting with somebody who's on the same level. So it helps you improve as a person, because you think, right, okay, I'm only fighting for a tenth here now. Where could I find that tenth? I could do it on this corner, I could do it on that corner, and that helps you improve as a driver. So I mentioned that with all the techniques and stuff. You can start thinking about individual corners rather than thinking, oh my god, I have 2 seconds to find, how do I do that? That's every corner. I can't be consistent, I can't do this, I can't do that. You can be consistent if you just have one person to practice with who's on a similar level. You're fighting for temps, and that'll help you improve overall. And by that point as well, if you're racing with them consistently, you get to improve your consistency as well. And all that with being like present on a track, and the presence of a track and knowing that person is at the same level as you, will help you improve as a driver. This isn't just for Gran Turismo either. You know, I used to play StarCraft 2, which is a very competitive game. You know, people play it for a living, and it's similar on there. You know, you had the top guys who earn a living from it, you know, play professionally. I've played a few of them myself, and you get that feeling of, wow, what do I do? You know, he's better than me. If you play people of a similar level, I was in something called a Diamond League, and I was a mid-diamond at the time. You get put against people of that sort of level, so that you can improve and have a chance of winning, a chance of improving. And it's the same principle in Gran Turismo with racing. It's the same in real life with racing. You know, you have different levels of sport. If you get improve at a specific level, and you figure out something that you could then jump you up to becoming the best in that group of people, you can then go, right, I've done this, I could move up to the next bracket. And you know, it's the same here, you know, with presence on the track. As I said, Ghost improves me as a driver, I improve Ghost as a driver. He said that himself, you know, we improve. And that's the initial psychology bit of, you know, somebody who affects you as a driver with your standards. And you might not realise it, or you might realise it. Me and Ghost realise that we do improve each other, because it's both conscious and subconsciously, to be fair. So I mentioned the presence on the track there, and how, you know, Decker said, oh no, Tidgney's on my tail. That is essentially also something you need to try and avoid. Now, obviously, if a quicker guy is catching you up, you know, I'm not the fastest guy in the world, there's people faster than me. You need to not worry. So if you're ahead of that person, you're ahead of them for a reason. You know, you're not there for, you've just been plonked there. So if you start overdriving the car thinking, oh no, I need to stay in front, I better go 10 miles an hour quicker suddenly, you're going to overdrive the car, crash and do something random. If you actually do what you were doing, it's actually harder for the faster guy to catch up, because you're being consistent. Yeah, he may catch you and overtake you, but you're not actually losing as much time either, and anybody else won't catch you up, or might not catch you up as much. But you're being consistent, and it's forcing other people to try and go that extra mile to catch you. Now all that is presence on the track, essentially, with the psychology of it. That's all my opinion of the presence on the track. Obviously you might have a different opinion of it and how it affects you, but to me, if you know that's the sort of thing I'm thinking, you could use some of that, all of that, or a tiny bit of that to your advantage to help you improve as a driver. Now, another bit of psychology in Gran Turismo, well, I find, is that you can actually, and this happens in real life as well, I'll explain a real life situation, but you can make people do things without them really knowing. It's sort of, we're all into racing, and you know, that's the reason why we play Gran Turismo. See, we all know from the previous episodes as well about cornering and things. I'll give you an example. GT Academy. I use this at GT Academy. This is a psychology move, and I know we're going to talk about overtaking and defending in the next episodes. But I'm behind somebody at Nürburgring. I'm approaching the chicane before the last corner, and I want that person to defend on the left, essentially letting me have the room on the right and hopefully take him on the second part of the chicane. Now he's currently on the middle right hand side of the track, so he's not all the way on the right for the corner, he's sort of tiny bit defending but trying to stay on that line. Now I want him to go to the left, so in that situation I put my car slightly to the left of his car, enough so he would see that it looked like I was going left, which would then force him to go left. Now that's psychology again. Now you might not realise that, but it is. It's making somebody do something they, without them really sort of, your presence on the track and your movements on the track are affecting that driver's standards with their thinking, and that's sort of messing with them. Now that move didn't come off because he sort of read it in the end, the second part of it, because he came straight across, so I had to back out of it or crash into him. I suppose I could have stayed there and he should have given me room, but I'm a clean racer. That again is psychology, because you're making somebody do something without their knowing. And you can do that with a lot of things. Now you can do that with cornering, the fact that you put in a fast lap, so you know, you see that I'm 8.6 seconds behind the leader. If he could see that time and suddenly it dropped to 8 seconds, suddenly he might get nervous, you know. That creates an effect on his driving standards, and as I said before, where a slower guy suddenly gets a faster guy behind, they may start overdriving the car and cause errors. So if things like that also affects a driver, and other drivers around them, is sort of the effect of what you do. So other little things like that are like pitting. You know, you might pit because of tyre strategy or because of the weather on Gran Turismo, and it's then where you might risk something, suddenly gain a load of time, and you force the other guy to pit. That's all psychology as well, because you pitting a lap before him, or you pitting when he thinks it's not possible to go on dry tyres if it's wet, it suddenly creates confusion for them, and because it's creating confusion, their driving standards change and things like that. So that's two areas of psychology, sort of explained quickly and briefly, because I don't want to sort of create a half-an-hour video of me just yapping away. So that was presence on track, and sort of how you can make people do things without them really knowing. Now I'm hoping that you take any of that information, sort of go, I've done that before, or I've thought that but I've not really realised that I'm thinking it, and sort of try and get it out of your mind. If it's a bad thing or if it's a good thing, use it. So the next part, I'm going to talk about sort of learning helplessness. Now I learnt this off a sports psychologist who came to the college where I work, and essentially they talked about how you can learn helplessness, which is essentially you have an opportunity to do something but you don't do it. You learn how not to do it. So it's sort of, if you had a gym membership, it's it's a bit dark, I'm not going, or it's a bit cold, I'm not going. It's that sort of thing. Now in Gran Turismo you have the ability to improve. There's many ways to improve. You know, I'm sort of helping you with these videos. There's the licenses and things like that. But in the end, if you learn that you want to improve, but you just think, there's no way I can be as good as that guy, you don't want to think like that at all. If you think like that, you will never beat that guy. You will never beat that person. And essentially then, how could you win GT Academy? Because to yourself, you've got to make sure that you can know that you could beat somebody. It's the same in racing in real life, you know. A guy doesn't go into Formula 1 thinking, I will never win the championship. They go in hopeful that eventually they will win the championship. It's the same here again. If you think you can't beat or be an alien, you know, a lot of guys call fast guys aliens, then you're never going to be an alien. Now I've seen people improve. I've seen Ghost improve. The first time I went to national finals, Ghost was slower than me, in my opinion. I don't know whether he'd say so as well, I'm not sure. But in my personal view, he was slower than me in the first national finals when I was racing him about 2 or 3 attempts. Now he's faster than me, to be fair. And I can say that quite happily. But he's improved just from pushing himself, you know. He knows that he can get that good, you know, be that good. So he pushed himself and improved. Now I know people have time constraints and things like that. I'm the same. That these videos take me a lifetime to make and edit and compress and upload. So it gives less time for me to play Gran Turismo. But you can still find an hour here, there, among the week where you could play for an hour. Try and use that hour to the best that you can to improve that way. So if you do sort of get to a point where you're like, there's no way I can improve, get that out of your mind straight away. Think, I can improve. Take a step back, think about how you could improve, and then go from there. That's basically it on psychology. I've sort of written a mini list, which is what I was just reading then. I didn't want to spend hours and hours talking about it. Obviously, as I've mentioned, there was the presence on track, so how somebody can help you improve by just being there, knowing that they're on a similar skill level and that you have to push a tiny bit on a certain part of the track, and you're not phased by a 2-second gap, more a 2/10 gap. How actually the thinking behind somebody really much quicker than you is actually behind you. How actually, if you just drive as you are, you're probably doing better than overdriving. Obviously, how you can maneuver and position yourself to make other people do things that they might not necessarily have done otherwise. And then the helplessness. Now they're the main things to me about the psychology of Gran Turismo. And if you can learn that sort of aspect of driving, and that it's not all the driving, it's making people think and do things, and what you think can actually have an effect, consciously or subconsciously. It can help you improve as a driver. You know, if you know all this and you start learning this, it will improve you as a driver, you know. So on that front, I'm going to end the video about here. I hope that's made sense. If you have any questions whatsoever, or any comments or any criticisms, please let me know. I'm always wanting to improve the videos as best I can. And any videos that you would like or request, feel free to let me know as well. I'll happily throw them in. I hope you've enjoyed this episode with its uniqueness, because not many people talk about this, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you for watching.